It's interesting. I've stood in front of a lot of groups of people like this inside of lots of different churches and sometimes just in a field, sometimes near a lake, um, sometimes even on like a big deck. And it's been a group of people like this, right? Like that we're in. And I don't know how many times, countless times, I've watched a dad or sometimes a grandpa or a father-like figure walk a daughter down an aisle. And I've stood there at the front with a soon-to-be groom waiting for that moment. And while my empathy for that dad has grown every year of my daughter's lives, I've not yet been that dad. I've been in the room a lot of times. Never been that dad. I don't really know fully what it's like. I've watched from a distance, and sometimes, in unique cases, had a lot of conversations with pastors leading up to what for some of them was their retirement, and others of them a resignation from a church and stepping into something else after a long period of time. But I've never been that person. I've never stood in this moment. And as Journey, we've never stood in this moment. And it's pushed me, it's challenged me. It's okay, well, what do you do in the moment then? What's really happening? What's really taking shape? And it's actually just allowed the Lord to nudge me back to some teaching I was exposed to years ago from a guy that I got an opportunity to meet by the name of Dr. Ed Cole, and he's passed away now, but back like 70s, 80s, Dr. Cole was really the pioneer of men's ministry. He was kind of the originator of what a lot of people might today start to describe in some way, shape, or form as ministry to men. And I had some chances to be around him in some smaller environments and some bigger environments. And one of the most impactful things that I ever heard him talk about was what happens when we are entering and we are exiting crisis. And while this is not a crisis, what it is what all of life is. It's a part of entering and exiting. All of life, from birth to death, you and I are entering one thing and exiting another, and then exiting one and entering another. It's over and over. When you're born, you're entering this world. When you pass away, you're exiting this world and you're entering into an eternity, right? When you move from first grade to second grade, you're exiting one grade and you're entering the next. When you move from middle school to high school, you're doing it again. High school into the workforce or maybe into some form of college, you're doing it again. If you get married, you're exiting single life, you're entering marriage, right? It's over and over again. You enter a job. If you leave that job, then you're exiting that job, so you might enter into another one, or you might enter into some form of retirement. You lay down at night, you're exiting the day. You're entering some sleep. And then you'll eventually exit that sleep and enter a new day. All of life is entering and leaving, and it's helping me in this time, and I think it will help us to just try to understand, like, how do we navigate transitions with God? How do we navigate God-led, God-directed transitions? In order to to help us see it from God's perspective, I want to invite you to, if you've got a Bible, somehow to find Deuteronomy chapter 6, which is in the Old Testament of your Bible, really, really early in your Bible. So if you're going to scan on a phone or something like Bible Gateway, it's going to be a YouVersion or something. It's going to be real early. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. It's the 5th document inside your Bible. And it's really a chronicle of a lot of the history of Israel, and especially their exodus, their exit from this land of Egypt, where they spent hundreds of years, so generations in slavery, right? It's part of their story of being led out of hundreds of years of slavery and being led towards what God would call this promised land, this new and improved land, like where he was going to have some rest for them, where he was going to have some good for them, where he was going to reestablish them, and he was going to lead them there, right? He was going to be the lead, and he was going to be the guide along the way of that. But it is a transition. It's an exit from one type of living, kind of living, place of living into a transition. Then it's an exit from a transition into where they're going to reside. And inside of this, there's a lot to learn, but let me just start reading here in verse 20. In verse 20, it says this. In the future, when your sons ask you, this is God speaking to Moses, he's going to be like, hey, this is what you're going to tell the people. Like, tell the people, like in generations from now, when they talk back about this time, here's how I want you to explain it. What is the meaning of all these like stipulations and decrees and laws the Lord has commanded? Like, why is God setting boundaries in our relationship? Why is God putting guardrails on the road of our relationship? What is it that God knows that we don't, that's helping shape and guide the relationship so that we can experience it fully and we can live it and live it optimally? He says, what's all that going on? He says, tell your son this, that we were slaves. We were slaves of Pharaoh in Egypt, but the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand, like with signs, wonders, miracles, with displays that only the Lord could do. Like God got us out of that. He helped us exit one thing so he could help us enter something else. Before our eyes, the Lord sent signs and wonders great and terrible on Egypt and Pharaoh and his whole household. Now check this out, verse 23. But he brought us out from there so he could bring us in. He got us an exit so he could get us an entrance. Like that's what God's doing. This is a snapshot in the life of Israel, but this is the picture of your life and my life. This is the picture of our life collectively. We're always being brought out of something so God can bring us into something else. If you're here today and you're a follower of Jesus, that's the story of your salvation. We're brought out of sin. We're brought out of shame. We're brought out of guilt. We're brought out of purposeless living. Why? Not just to be brought out, but that we could be brought out so we could be brought into something. We could be brought into life and direction and dreaming and hope and aspiration, and right, we can be brought into intimacy with God and connection with him and step with him, right? We're brought out to be brought in. That's what's happening here. He brought us out from there to bring us in and give us the land he promised on oath to our ancestors. Listen, God has a promise for you. God has a promise for your life. And the promise includes your salvation, but it does not stop at your salvation. The promise includes you being made right with God, but that does not end the promise. That actually begins the promise. God has a promise for Journey. God's got a promise for Journey. God's got a purpose. God's got a plan. God's got a direction. Journey, right now, us together, we're just exiting one thing. God is bringing us out of one season, one way of knowing. God bringing us out. Why? The same reason he's always bringing us out, so he could bring us in. He's bringing us out so he could bring us in. He's not bringing Journey out because he's like done with Journey. He's bringing Journey out because he's got some place to bring Journey. Right? He's got a promise to a promised land. He's got a promise to a next. He's got a promise to a future. He's got a promise to a greater hope. He's got, right? It's like a bring out to bring to bring in. So how do we live inside of that? Let me just give you a couple things. Number one, first, and this is so hard in transition, but we got to let God be big. We got to let God be big. We have got to let God be big. We don't have time to unpack the whole story of God getting the Israelites out of Egypt, but let me just summarize it this way. None of the things God did to get them out of Egypt made any sense to them. Any sense. If any moment along the way would have needed to make sense, they would have had to shrink God, limit God, which would have resulted in miss God, which would have resulted in, we don't actually get out. The exit and the entrance is rarely going to make sense to you and to me. Doesn't make sense. Right? And I could say, like, I could say, like, right now, the transition to the Allens, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense. We've said it before. This is pretty good. Like, this is pretty good. We could, like, ride this out for a really long time. Like, right, this is, like, and to step into what did feel, very uncertain at times and still feels uncertain, honestly, in some ways. Certainty comes in stages, right? That doesn't fully make sense. But we got to give God a chance to be big. Let me say it this way. If you and I understand every facet of life's transitions, the odds are good there are transitions, not God's. Now, let me play it back. Some of y'all sleeping. I want to make sure you get it, okay? So it's like last shot I got, okay? If all of life's transitions make sense to us, the odds are good they are our transitions, not God's. We got to give God a chance to be big. We got to give God a chance to do the thing we wouldn't do, to lead where we wouldn't go, to prompt how we wouldn't prompt, to provide how we would never think it could be provided. We got to give God a chance to stir prayers we've never prayed before, to stand in places we've never stood before, to make moves that we would have never dreamed possible, to tap into courage we didn't know we had. We got to give God a chance to be big. We got to let God be big. Do you hear it in the story? Like, tell your sons, tell your daughters, tell like 3 and 4 generations. Man, God did signs and wonders, like did miraculous things, his mighty hand. You hear the story? Like, there's nothing in there about, we the Israelites, we were really skillful at getting out of Dodge. There's none of that. In fact, it wasn't that long, they wanted to go back to slavery at times. I mean, it's like, no. God did it. God did a thing. God did a thing. Let God be big. So here's what I just know, because like we know humanity. There's some of you today. You're wrestling with a transition. You're wrestling with a what's next with God. You're wrestling with something you think God is prompting you to do. You're wrestling with something God's been prompting you to do for a few years, but it's daunting. It's scary. It doesn't make sense. It's not very clear. And let me just help you. It's always going to be scary. It's always going to be daunting. It's never going to make sense, and it's never going to be perfectly clear. But if we want to like let God lead us through an exit so he can lead us to a new entrance, we got to let God be big. And then tucked right within that, like these two things have to be just attached. We got to let counsel be our friend. We've got to let counsel be our friend. We got to let the counsel of people around us be our friend. We got to let the power of good community be our friend. We got to let the power of family when it's healthy be our friend. We got to let the power of friends when they're healthy be our friend. We got to let the power of mentors be our friend. Look at what it says in verse 24. Again, this is like a snapshot that you can play out all throughout the story of God and humanity in Scriptures. The Lord commanded us to obey all these decrees and to fear the Lord our God so that we might always prosper and be kept alive, which feels like a really good thing. I'd like to prosper and be kept alive. That's good, okay? as is the case today. And if we are careful to obey all this law before the Lord our God as he has commanded us, that will be our righteousness. Do you hear them all? Like, let me just circle them all for you. Look at all the like plural in there. Look at all the we, us. No I, no me. No, I got a word from the Lord and I don't need anybody's help having clarity on it. There's none of that. It's nope, I think I have a word from the Lord. I think I have a vision from the Lord. I think I have a direction from the Lord. But the we, us, and our are going to sort that out together. And I just want you to know, that can be difficult. Because when you go to the people you trust and they help refine that, it will go, oh. But you know what? It can also be so confirming and strengthening. We probably, in this process with us, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say we had 10 people, some friends more our age, some mentors who have seen some life, but people who know us really well, intimately well, and have freedom to speak into our lives. And they spoke into this transition. And sometimes they spoke something that was a little difficult to hear. A lot of times they spoke confirmations and affirmations, and like when we think we get a direction, when we think we get a word, when we think we get a vision, the goal isn't to go convince people of it. The goal is to go let counsel be our friend. See, here's the thing. Transition can build and deepen community relationships if we let it. If we let it. We gotta let it. We gotta let it be our guide. About our future, about next steps, about job transitions, we've got to let it be our guide. The people we've gone to counsel for forever, we need to keep going to them for counsel. Right? Let it be our guide. Can I just have a risky moment on this? Thank you. I'm gonna have a risky moment. Now, if you get mad at me and you want to leave Journey, just remember your world's getting better. I'm out of here after today. Okay, just hang in. Okay. But friends, I want to challenge us in this West Michigan culture. We got to do better at this when it comes to church. We got to do better at this when it comes to church moves, church shifts, church adjustments. Look, I understand that sometimes it's the right time to change churches. I get it. I'm not saying it's never that time. Sometimes it's that time. And sometimes we really have been hurt and we've been abused, we've been knocked around. I get it. Sometimes the mission and the vision changes, and I get it. But because it's so normal, it's too easy to leave with no real counsel. Can I just tell you this? Can I just give you a little window into the other side of the table on that? It would be frustrating and embarrassing to try and count the number of times that the pastors, this isn't just me, this is pastors in general, sit with people in the difficulties of their marriage or the difficulties of their finances or the difficulties of job searches and job wonders and job everything else is and parenting challenges and all that goes with that. And counsel is wanted and presence is wanted and everything else. And then when it comes time to exit a church, there's zero conversations. Why is it we will take all the counsel on life except counsel that impacts the supposed community we're doing life with? Why are we doing that? In fact, could I just nudge a little further? Again, I can do whatever I want. Okay, here's the thing. Can I just nudge a little further? I love that you're here. Some of you need to go back to where you came from just to have a conversation, just to tie up some loose ends. You need to go back and forgive if that's what's needed, ask for forgiveness if that's what's needed, have a clarifying conversation, have an explanation. There are humans on the other side of that decision, friends. And if we do it better in church, we'll do it better in the rest of our life. Okay? If we do it better in church, we'll do it better in the rest of our life. Now, I say that for two reasons. One, because I'm out, okay? Two, more importantly, I love you, and here's why exiting and entering is so important. How you exit always influences how you enter. You don't get to enter absent with how you exited. You exit with bitterness, you enter with bitterness. You exit with baggage, you enter with baggage. You exit with loose ends and things not tied up, you enter with that. You exit with joy and freedom and release and blessing, you enter with freedom and joy and release and blessing. You cannot separate them. You cannot separate them. So if you really want to be where you are, fully and healthily, make sure the exit is full and healthy. We okay? Anybody want, just somebody amen it even if you're not with me. Okay, thank you. Thank you. That is for your whole life. So your whole life. And so we need counsel, and let's not cut off part of counsel that we've wanted in every other arena of our life, but we're a little too scared or cautious or unsure or unclear of how to get it or what it would be like in one decision. Let counsel be your friend. When you get a vision, when you get a word from God, when you get a direction, when you think you have any of those, let a community clarify it and sort it out. Let a community clarify it and sort. In other places in the scripture, God says, hey man, let things be confirmed by 2 or 3 witnesses. Paul got knocked off a horse, blinded by light. That is pretty unmistakably the Lord. And do you know what the Lord did for Paul, just out of the kindness of heart? He sent him a guy named Ananias to confirm it. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. Mary and Joseph, the mom and dad of Jesus, they have these visions and these dreams. And you know what God does out of the kindness of his heart? He kind of actually sends them each other to confirm it. The pressure is not on this one person. Let counsel be your friend. Let counsel be your friend. Let me give you a last thing really quickly. Last thing. And we've touched on it a little bit. But let your heart get clear. In transitions, let your heart get clear. Tie up all the loose ends. Tie up all the loose ends. If you need to forgive somebody, forgive somebody. If you need to ask for forgiveness, ask for forgiveness. Jesus took that to the extreme, right? When he said, hey, I want you to just not even do this worship thing anymore if you've got something against somebody. Why don't you just stop all your singing, stop all your thing, and go make that right. That's a big one. And that's fascinating, isn't it? Man, that would wreck most of us, right? If we checked at church doors and said, look, you only get in if you've forgiven everybody. You got any bitterness? You got anything unforgiven? Not coming in today. This is the non-singing, worshiping, I have bitterness in my heart crowd. This is the right. I mean, everybody'd be like me. Look, I just think if we're gonna take Jesus, let's take all of him. And he said that because there was something in it that he knew, man, I don't really want your worship blocked. I don't really want your life tainted. I don't really want that toxicity in you. I don't really want you drinking that arsenic all the time. I don't really want you living with that. I don't really want you to get a warm and fuzzy and get confused and think all is good when you're carrying around bitterness in your heart. Tie up the loose end. Tie up the loose end. Ask for forgiveness. Be a forgiver. Ask for forgiveness, be a forgiver. Do it quickly and do it fully. Do it with everything you got. Look at Jesus modeled this, right? Luke 23. Father, may I forgive these people? They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Look, most of the people that have hurt us, they didn't know what they were doing. Some did. For some, it was brutal, right? And most of the people we've hurt, we didn't know what we were doing. It's not a free pass. It's just an acknowledgement. Why? Because when do we hurt? We hurt out of our own brokenness. We hurt out of our own hurt. Right? And so when we do that, there's got to be some acknowledgement that when we're operating out of pain and hurt, well, that's not fully clear. We're not thinking perfectly clearly. We're not emotionally responding perfectly clearly. Jesus knows the people who are wounding him and crucifying him, they don't really get what they're doing. So he's like, hey, Father, forgive them. Just forgive them. I'm here to forgive them. So would you forgive them? Like they don't really know what they're doing. Here's the thing, God's got something for you. God's got something to bring you into. God's got a next promise, a bigger promise, another step in the promise. Is your heart clear? Is your heart clear? Anybody you need to forgive? Any group, organization, any people, any person that really to follow in the steps of Jesus that we need to forgive? Anybody? Anybody need to just forgive yourself? Probably. Okay. Some of us, we got some grudges against God. We're kind of pushing against God. We're like, he did this, he didn't do this, he didn't come through. And I get it, right? I get all that, right? We've been angry with God. Completely understandable, right? Yeah, he gets it. But sometimes we're kind of still holding him responsible for something. It's time to just release that a little bit. Let's go back to verse 23. Let me read it to you one more time. Show it to you one more time. But he brought us out. He brought us out. From there, to bring us in, to give us the land he promised. He has brought us out to bring us to his promise. He is bringing you out to bring you to his promise. For the Allens, it gets a little more clear all the time. You know, we've talked about this. I feel more and more compelled to spend more and more time of my time investing in pastors and leaders. I'm getting some chances to do that. Need a job to kind of help fund and create that. Got that. That means this become really clear in the last couple of weeks. That means a move to Indianapolis for us. Somewhere in central Indiana, probably Indianapolis for us. That means a geographic change for us. That comes with another set of, okay. Not certain what that looks like. Not even certain when. We thought we knew when, and that had a little bit of a morph this week too, potentially. I mean, there's still uncertainty. Can I just tell you, like when we stand here today, there's still all the things that are true that were true on January 19th. We're still excited because God's bringing us into a promise. We're still grieving because there's been a lot of good in what he's bringing us out of. And there's still a lot of uncertainty, even fear, because the middle of that is often full of unknown. For Journey, for you, it's like, hey, it's part of where we are too. It's like, oh yeah, like it's bringing out of a season that, in many ways, has been great. It's been amazing, right? It's been amazing. Friends, this all started 18 years ago with a group of 50-ish or 60 people who were absolutely certifiable history makers, willing to put a lot of comforts and conveniences on the line and die to them. And from that to today, and life change, and baptisms, and movements, and launches, and there's been a lot of good. So if there's been so much good, the fact that God would bring us out, bring Journey out of one thing to bring us into more better, more mission fruitfulness, more kingdom growth, more life change, more, right? More, that's amazing. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait to see how that unfolds and what that looks like. And to try and even dream what that could be like in 2 or 3 years. It's amazing. So what do we do in that? Well, let God be God. And let God be big. Don't panic. Be patient. Be expectant. Hey, can I just tell you, it's the last time I'm going to say, see, your search team's doing an amazing job. This is an unbelievably daunting process. They're doing an amazing job. Combing through resumes, navigating interviews, trying to discern together and grow as a discernment community. Can I just say to you, like, part of the reason we go get counsel is because we have this understanding that discernment takes time. Discernment is much more like, like put it on the smoker and let it sit all night and maybe the next day. Discernment doesn't work in a microwave. It comes out pretty gross. Be patient. Be patient. Some of our best growth with God, some of our best life shaping, some of our best community shaping is in the transition. It's not at the end of the transition. It's in the transition. Lean in, grow, pray more, grow in patience, grow in expectation, grow in togetherness, live the mission. Live the mission. Sacrifice your comforts. Lay down your preferences. They're doing great. They're doing great. Let's all do great at our part. Prayerful, patient, expectant. Let God be big. Let counsel be your friend. Let counsel be your friend. When you think you got a word for God, when you think you got a next step for your life, when you're a little discouraged, you don't know what a next step, let counsel be your friend. Don't think you get a vision on your own and then try and command everybody else to live it. Get counsel. Let counsel be your friend. And let your heart get clear. Let your heart get clear. Tie up loose ends. Tie up loose ends. God in his not fully quantifiable wisdom and in his power is bringing Journey out, leading an exit so he could bring Journey in, so he could lead an entrance. And the entrance is good. It's good. It's good. The entrance is good. And so is the transition, so is the middle, so is the walk, so is the journey, so is the travel, it's good. It's good. It's really good. It's really good.